Okay, on to the next Skip the Line reaction, man. Lowkey, we finishing off the series, man. Terrorist Part 2. If you watch the other ones, we get heavy. This gets political, alright? It gets political. You can't handle that? Get off this video. Go watch something else. Yeah, so this is Lowkey Terrorist Part 2. This is featuring Haze and Haze and Mai and Khalil. Right, never heard of those guys. This is a Skip the Line reaction from Frank Warner. Thank you very much. Just before we carry on, these Skip the Line reactions this week will be wrapped up today, and the booking form will open up again today. But I'm just letting you guys know, it will be, when this booking form closes, it will not open up again until the 8th of September. We've got a whole bunch of other stuff that we're going to do, so there will be no more STLs from this last booking form. This last booking form, I will take about 25, maybe 30 for next week, and then the booking form closes for 3 weeks until the next time. So just letting you guys know, giving you a bit of a heads up. I will put it on the Sphere and on YouTube when the booking form opens up again later today. Terrorist Part 2. Let's go.
Trouble me, tell them that I'm not. My intentions are clear to see.
First of all, allow my client Kareem Dennison simplify his messages and dissect the evidence that placed him on the terror list. Spread the lies of television. My client is standing accused of encouraging terrorism. He's promoting peace far from violent encouragement. I believe it's unjust that this court has summoned him. How can one man rapping lead to terrorist actions? This misunderstanding merits a retraction. Accused of calling for...
It's crazy how we actually label people today, and it feels like we're getting better at that right here in the Western world. I'm going to keep saying the Western world because the Western world is completely collapsing, right? And it's important to actually talk about this because that whole rhetoric, right, has actually only just increased. For a society that is supposed to be free and a society that is supposed to be allowed to say what's on their mind and allowed to have their freedom of speech, it seems like more and more and more and more like the authoritarian states seem to be freer than the free Western states, right? Because today we say, oh no, you're free, you can say whatever you want. But now there's this narrative of like, you can say whatever you want. Someone actually told me this once in a comment section, saying, no, you can say what you want, but it doesn't come with, it comes without, it's not like it comes without consequences. So I'm thinking to myself, wait a second. No, they actually told me, sorry to actually say it correctly, I'm paraphrasing there, let me say it verbatim. Freedom of speech comes with consequences. So you can say what you want, but there will be consequences for what you say. And I'm thinking to myself, if there's consequences for what you say, right, then that's not freedom of speech. Freedom of speech means that what you say comes with no consequences. That's the point of freedom of speech. If you say, oh, no, you can say whatever you want, but if you do, we'll trash your life. We'll trash your life. We'll completely end your life. We'll end your careers. We'll completely cast you out of society. Well, that's not freedom of speech. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous flip on that at the moment. And people are actually playing into this. This is actually from a normal, what's supposedly supposed to be a partially educated, rational human being that literally said, no, you can say whatever you like, but it comes with consequences. What? Do you understand what freedom of speech is? Do you actually understand? And who gets to say that what I'm saying carries consequences, but what you say doesn't carry consequences? If what I say offends you, and there should be consequences for offending you, then what you say should carry consequences for offending me. I find your speech offensive. So, can I lay down the consequences for you? Can I trash your life? Where do we draw the line in the sand over here? This is why freedom of speech is freedom of speech. If you don't like it, right? Then you don't have to hear it at the end of the day. But you can't sit there and be like, that speech is bad, but this speech is good. That speech needs consequences, but this speech carries no consequences. Do you see how we're playing a very dangerous game over here? But what we're doing, more specifically, is the way we're labeling people today, right? Everybody's a terrorist today. Everybody. MAGA crew, terrorists. Domestic terrorists. I mean, politicians are literally calling their own people at home, right, that lean in one political way, domestic terrorists. And they put them all in like one basket. It's not like they're being specific about it. They're actually, they are being purposefully vague about it because they want to put everybody in their basket of deplorables, right? The people that don't vote for them are in their basket of deplorables. Now, all conservative people, right, are no longer conservatives. They're far right. They're far right wing. They're extreme right? They're extreme right because they don't agree with me. You could swear that they're talking about half the country is part of the KKK. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Do you know what I mean? But this is what we're doing, and it hasn't just happened now. It's actually been something that has been building up for years, right? Because this labeling, war on this, war on that, war on this, that fear mongering, everything is a war. It's a war on COVID. It's a war on terrorism. It's a war on extremism. It's a war on it's always a war on drugs. It's a war. Everything's a war because they need to keep you fearful, right? They need to create the next boogeyman for you, right? So that they can keep you compliant. And that's what actually happens. I don't like what that guy says, terrorist. No, but he's not a terrorist. He's just speaking his mind. He's just speaking what he feels, right, hurts him, right, with a lot of very valid points. Terrorist. That's it. Terrorist, cast him aside. Why? Because it's easier to shut someone down instead of arguing or debating with someone, right? Dissent is dangerous because dissent will cut through an argument. If you are sitting there and saying like, my argument is correct, but you cannot talk about it, okay? I'm right, I don't want to hear your opinion, right? The only reason you're doing that is because if you do hear the other side's opinion, it's going to cut straight through the truth of your argument and it's going to completely dismantle your entire argument. That's the problem. And it's getting worse and worse and worse and worse. Anyway, let's go.
Or attacks on military facilities. You can't equate violence with criticism politically. Where's the freedom of speech? Is just another young musician who is seeking a dream. My client is accused of inciting racial tension. He's half Arab, half English that I failed to mention. The media rendered his...
I love the fact that they will sit there and say you're inciting racial tension. What are they doing? Like, what are the political elites doing? Like, they are the masters of it. And then they've got their Praetorian Guard for a media that literally follows in lockstep with them, literally creating more racial tension and societal tension. Come on, man.
Tension. He's half Arab, half English that I failed to mention. The media rendered his reputation ruined. Think about how many youngsters he has influenced to quit a life of crime and do the opposite. Most of the man's tracks are completely devoid of politics. The evidence is unseen, the verdict is a done deed. How can you compare a song to invading a country? My client isn't hungry.
It's crazy when we actually talk about the morality of things, right? Specifically these higher ups, right? They talk about morality and virtue, right? And as if they own any of those virtues, as if they actually have any of those morals. It's actually ridiculous when you actually sit there and you think about. It's like, yeah, we know what's bad. We know that that Russia invading Ukraine is terrible. It's bad. It's actually disgraceful that happened, right? But don't really speak from your perch, buddy. Do you know what I mean? Like, you sit there on top of your pedestal saying, oh, I'm invading a sovereign nation. Iraq? We invaded that for what? Sorry? We invaded that for what? It's crazy when they actually... seriously, the United States, I absolutely love their people. I love their resolve. And I never, ever put their people in the political sphere of things because politics and people are very, very different things, right? Leaving the people aside, always in my political debates, in my political arguments, I always leave the people out of it because the people are incredible people, right? These are people that will die for their country. They'll die for their people, patriotic. I've only got nothing but respect for that. But when it comes to the political system, right, specifically now when you see things like, I don't know, what are you on, the 53rd indictment of Donald Trump, right? And when you literally sit there and you listen to these politicians who they themselves are the most corrupt, vile people in Washington, right? Talking about morals and values and what was in Trump, what they assume was in Trump's head during January 6th and how vile and terrible that is, right? While embroiled in God knows, incredible amounts of evidence of corruption at the moment. Do you know what I mean? Every single time there's another whistleblower, or not even whistleblower, there's a more evidence that Biden has been corrupt with his son, Trump gets another indictment. It's unbelievable. It's like, hopefully Joe Biden's son will stop committing crimes so that Trump can stop getting indictments. You know what I mean? Like next time Hunter Biden causes another foible for Joe Biden, Donald Trump will get indicted again. And that's, again, it's not an argument for Donald Trump and it's not an argument for Joe Biden. I do not lean on either of those sides. I actually think that the American people need a better system. They need better politicians. They need better leaders. I don't think either of them are great for the United States. Either of them are great for the United States. But how dare any of those slithering snakes sit there on a perch, right, and talk about morality when you use your power and influence, right, to make yourself billions of dollars, right? How dare the Speaker of the House sit there and talk, or the ex-Speaker of the House, of the Senate, Nancy Pelosi, talk about morality, right? When your husband is taking cues from you on investment trades, right? All because of that are all tied to your policies. Right, and all tied to the bills that you're just about to pass. It's crazy. Right? You even want to invest in any stock, in any tech stock, right? Follow Nancy Pelosi and Paul Pelosi. Somehow they always get it right. Somehow they are better than the guys in Wall Street. They have got the finger on the pulse, man. It's not insider trading though. It's not insider trading. They're just that good at it. They're just that good at it. Just so happens to be that their trade, they always win on their trades all of the time. They see the future like no one else. Do you know what I mean? How fucking dare you talk about fucking corruption? How dare you stand on your soapbox and say how your political opponent is? And then the argument that we get from the people that follow them is like, yo, well, they may be corrupt, but Trump's worse. It's like, is that the base argument for you? Is that where you're coming from? Is that the base argument? Right? My house is completely vile and filthy and full of corruption and rats, but the other house has more rats? What? Is that where you want to go? Is that the society you want? Come on, man. If it's wrong for both. Let's go.
For the blood of the people. Since when is making a rap song ever been illegal? No murder is done. The thing that drives this person is love. I rest my case to the jury and the merciful judge.
They're calling me a terrorist. We know who the terror is. Tell them that I'm not. They're calling me a terrorist. It is time to settle this. Tell them that I'm not. I'm all about love and peace. Why you wanna trouble me? Tell them that I'm not. My intentions are clear to see.
Sir, can you confirm you're the artist that's known as Lowkey? Are you aware the state has been building this case is so free? You claim that you're all about love and you promote peace. I'm here to prove that your hot speeches lead to cold deeds. Your lyrics are a virus infecting all the youths. You say whatever it takes to get a mention on the news. You're an insult to the people and offend the soldiers too. Objection, your honor. Objection overruled. Do you denounce the monarchy and hope for a republic?
Monarchy is inequality, systemic injustice. While you strangle Afghanistan and tangle with Taliban, our taxes have to pay for David Cameron's cameraman.
How can you compare spreading anarchy to spreading democracy?
Like you compare resistance to extension of...
The crazy thing about that is today you can't even speak about it. Today they will tell you what is a good virtuous thing, that this is where your money is going, and you got nothing that you can say about it, right? You will see your cities completely degrading, going to absolute filth, infrastructure collapsing, right? Education collapsing, housing for people completely collapsed. There's literally nothing. There's the normal amenities that are supposed to be base level amenities for people, all collapsing. all collapsing, right? But they will tell you what's virtuous. They will tell you where your money should go. They will tell you where your money should go. There's 3 pillars of the American government at the moment. These are the 3 top pillars of the American government, right? You might know them, but you might not know them. Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, Northrop Grumman, maybe there's a 4th, BlackRock, right? Those are the pillars of government you have, right? Not the judicial, executive, legislature. No. Forget those. Those are the 4 pillars of government, right? And yes, I do think that when people are when countries are in conflict and whatever else, supplying aid and things like that is important, right? But all of this aid is for profit. All of it. All of it. It just so happens that all of the aid happens to be weaponry. All of it. All those 4 companies always seem to profit from America's good deed. Do you know what I mean? America's good deed for the world happens to make the 4 biggest companies in the United States, defense companies in the United States, billions and billions and billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars. Billions. And you got no say in it, right? No, this is the right thing to do. This is the right thing to do, right? And imagine you who's sitting in the street, struggling with a drug addiction, who has no house, who has got nothing, can't feed yourself, right? Sitting there and listening on the TV as you walk by, how it is your moral virtue, right, to be providing more money to the defense companies, right, for it to grow abroad, right? It's your moral virtue while you struggle with your addiction. On top of that, they tell you, no, it's good, man. You know what we'll do for the drug addicts? Give them drug kits so that they can shoot up easier and cleaner. Do you know what I mean? If that's not a slap in the face, if that isn't a slap in the face of society, I don't know what is, but anyway.
Colony. Did you really refer to the US as an abomination? No, I posed the question in reference to its domination. I scrutinize governments, you scrutinize songs.
Did you compare Predator Jones to suicide bombs?
Yes, and I question.
It's crazy how he's punching up and they're punching down. He's punching up and they're punching down. They're punching down at this guy he's got no power. He's got no institutional power. He's got no power at all. He's punching up where it's literally completely ineffective to them. And they don't, to a certain degree. I mean, he is sort of, he can influence people, sure, right? But he's influencing people with truths. And that is something that governments really don't like. They really, really, really don't like, specifically in today's day and age. Do you know what I mean? Because they want to fail and they want to stay failing. Governments today fail upwards. Everyone, all politicians fail upwards. That whole debacle in Afghanistan, right? What happened? 13 US soldiers died for nothing because of a complete botched pullout of Afghanistan. Completely botched. They screwed the whole damn thing up. Not a single person got fired. Not a single person got fired. In government, if you're a politician or if you're in government, if you're on the upper echelons, you fail upwards, man. If you fail, you get a promotion. You don't even get demoted. You don't even get fired. You fail upwards all of the time. It's a fully corrupt system. We are in a fully corrupt system. It's a regressive political system. It's a regressive social structure, right? And these guys know every single thing has failed. That's why they need to sow the divisions between people, because everyone's noticing. They're noticing, so they need to create a distraction. Your neighbor is the dangerous one. Don't look at us. The guy who never did a fucking thing to you. The guy who just has his own political opinion and never did a thing to you, right? He's the bad one. I'm the cool, cuddly, fucking senile houseplant, right? In the White House that can hardly fucking can hardly string 5 words together. I'm the cool guy. I got my Ray-Bans and my Corvettes. I'm an old, nice guy.
You scrutinize songs.
Did you compare Predator Jones to suicide bombs?
Yes, and I question where such brutalized youth would rise from. It's true, I choose to write songs, but you can write wrongs.
But what if your questions equate to the spreading of hate? Is it true you labeled Israel a terrorist state?
Yes, cause it's based on the threat to erase an indigenous population you could never replace.
They're calling me.
The Israel story is very nuanced. You can't be reductionist about the Israel story. I'm sorry, I can't agree with Lowkey over there. Right? It's a very nuanced topic. Again, like everything else is, it's not so cut and dry. It's not like, well, Israel's this and, do you know what I mean? It's a very, very nuanced topic with a lot of complexity, right? Going back years and years and years, right? I disagree with him there. I tend to think that I'm not casting blame on either side, but there is a lot to work on in both sides. Yes, Israel is wrong in many things, but then also the other side is wrong in many things as well, right? And for as long as we keep playing this blame game and not looking inside our own houses, we're never ever going to solve that, right? So I'm sorry. I mean, there's a lot to be said about that particular conflict, and it's a very sensitive topic. It's a very sensitive thing, I know, right? And it gets people in their emotions and things like that, right? I'm not placing the blame on anyone, but there's a lot that we can go back in history from the beginning and start talking about how these things, and yes, the USA has stuck its nose in that region, and it's used Israel as sort of its own little geopolitical strategy in that region as well. But Israel's not all bad, right? Just as Palestine's not all bad. You know what I mean? There's a lot to be said about that particular conflict. Not that I can ever cover in one sort of reaction.
An indigenous population you could never replace.
They're calling me a terrorist. We know who the terror is. Tell them that I'm not. They're calling me a terrorist. It's time we settle this. Tell them that I'm not. I'm all about love and peace. Why you wanna trouble me? Tell them that I'm not. My intentions are clear to see.
Please allow me to state the most relevant of facts. I'm charged with section 1 of 06's Terrorism Act. It is alleged the music I'm publishing for exhibition all amounts to the encouragement of terrorism. My face was placed upon the news as a wanted person cause it caused controversy.
It's crazy to think that people will, like, they're gonna tie things to what you say, right? And you hear that a lot, specifically today. They tend to use that strategy all of the time. Oh, you said something I don't like, and then something happens, like a school shooting or something like that, and then they tie what you say to that school shooting. Oh no, it's because of people like you, that's why he did it. It's absurd to actually say that. Like, it's absurd to think that way. It's like, it's ridiculous. It's like saying that Biden calls the MAGA crowd extremist, right-wing, far right, right? And then a leftist goes and shoots up a church, and it's like, no, that's your fault. It's your fault that happened. Because look at what you're doing. Let's go look at what you said, right? Though that crowd is a very religious crowd, right? So it's crazy to actually think, but they do that. They do that for political point. They do that for political. It's a political strategy, right? Where the moment and it's always people of influence, where they'll go and they'll say, oh no, like, you're dangerous. What you say is dangerous because someone will take that, whatever. And it's crazy. They will do that and they'll say, what you say will influence somebody else. And then on the other side, they're telling those people to give in to their feelings, not to follow logic, to channel their emotions correctly. They say, no, just give in to your feelings. Your feelings are the most important thing in the world. Don't worry about rationality. Don't worry about truth. Don't worry about realism at all. It's only your feelings. You need to stay stuck in your feelings, and you need to follow your feelings. And you know what you get when you follow your feelings? A fucking school shooter. That's what you get when you follow your feelings. That's what you get when you tell children to only give in to their emotions. Because they can't control their emotions. They can't actually control their emotions. It's like, well, I feel shit today. I feel like shooting up a school today. And then I'm going to act on my feelings because I'm being told to act on my feelings. Majority of feelings are throwaway. Right? You don't need to act on your feelings. The majority of feelings are just feelings. They are throwaway. But we're teaching an entire society to act on their feelings as opposed to acting on logic and morality and virtues and guidelines, and to channel your emotions. Just because you have a feeling doesn't mean it means something. It doesn't mean that it needs to shape your whole fucking existence. You're going to be miserable. But no, they're telling you one side, everybody must operate in their feelings, making them far more dangerous. And then they come and tell you, oh, you can't say something because the people we've indoctrinated to follow their feelings are going to listen to you and act on it. So they'll make a weaker society purely to play this game of, oh no, you can't say what you have on your mind because that might influence the weaker society. Come on, man.
When they saw my songs emerging, if I was commercial, would I have to ride all these hurdles? Raided my home, take my phone, put some spies in my circle. Not on it, no comment. I will never change my position. Not in jail, but they gave me these stale bail conditions. And this is the part where the plot just gets sinister. They banned me from the city of London and Westminster. I do this for the rebels that do this without the medals. For Smiley Culture, Jodie McIntyre and Alfie Meadows. Before you throw it at me, have a look at your backwards book definition of terrorism. Columbus and Captain Cook, I can't lie, it's getting deep. Our lives are very cheap. When one person dies in police custody every week, they're editing my tracks cause I'm telling them the facts. You're more likely to
listen. I heard you say Columbus over there. If we're gonna go back into history when everything was barbaric and call everybody terrorists over there, then the whole world was terrorists. Every single person, even the people that you purport to defend, all of them were terrorists. That was just the way the world was. The world back then was barbaric. It was hedonistic. It was all about conquering. Right, that's the way it was. That's why we've progressed. That's why we progressed as a society to this point over here. So yes, we can go all the way back and we can say, oh, this person was a terrorist. This person was everybody was like that. Everybody was like that. Right? That is the way the world was. It was barbaric. I mean, the fact that we've got that fortitude, that hindsight now, that oh my God. You know, these were terrible people. Slavery was bad. Yeah, no shit, Sherlock. We know that now. We know that now. Okay? We know that now. Back then, it was the system. We had to work it out of the system. Right? It is what it was back then. And everyone was engaged in it. Everyone. From Africa to the Middle East to the Western world, everybody was engaged in fucking slavery. Every single country was engaged in slavery. In Africa, some countries are still engaged in slavery. Do you know what I mean? Slavery still exists today. So, so that notion of like going back and saying, oh no, well, in the 1400s, these were terrorists and these were terrible people. No shit, Sherlock. Everyone was fucking terrible back then. Everybody. It was a society of barbarism. Of course it was. Everyone was for their own interests. Everyone was for conquest. Do you know what I mean? That's how it was from every continent. So, yeah, no, I don't play into that notion. But anyway, most of the other stuff, I agree with you.
In police custody every week, they're editing my tracks cause I'm telling them the facts. You're more likely to die like that than from a terrorist attack. When you try to fight the war, they will say you defy the law. Can't quiet me, this is R.I.P. for Brian Hall. We know the truth no matter what you tell them on the television. IMF, World Bank, economic terrorism. I refuse to produce chart nonsense. Not a servant to the Zionist lobby like Mark Thompson. The BBC want me making music to impress crooks or doing shows on military bases like Tim Westwood. Murdoch might have the news, but me, I have the tunes. Your cameras move onto celebrities to distract the youth. Remember, this fact is true. When you point your finger at me, there is 3 fingers pointing back at you.
There should be. Yes, that's just the beat. Fire. I liked it. And I'll end it off this way, man. In the words of Voltaire, I don't like what you say, but I will defend with every fiber of my being. I'm paraphrasing. I will defend it with every fiber of my being your right to say it. Right? You should have the right to say it. It is freedom of speech. Right? And we should protect that at all damn costs. At all damn costs. Because that is the baseline. The baseline for a free society. You take that away, well then, that's what you get. That is what you get. I love you all, man. Please stay safe, please stay healthy. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace!